Google Stitch Plus, Claude Opus 4.6 changes everything about building apps. You're wasting hours designing interfaces in Figma, then more hours coding them from scratch, then even more hours building the backend logic. What if I told you there's a workflow that cuts all of that down to minutes? Not theory, real working apps. Keep watching because I'm about to show you exactly how. Hey, it's Julian. Today I'm showing you how to combine Google Stitch with Claude Opus 4.6 to build full stack applications in hours instead of weeks. I'm not just explaining what these tools do, I'm showing you the exact workflow to go from idea to working app. Google Stitch is Google's AI-powered UI design tool that launched at Google I/O in 2025. Claude Opus 4.6 is Anthropic's newest flagship model that dropped in February 2026. When you combine them in the right workflow, you can build applications that normally take days in literally hours.
Let me break down what each tool actually does because this is important to understand. Google Stitch takes your text prompts or sketches and turns them into professional UI designs with working code. Powered by Gemini 3 Pro, you describe what you want in plain English, the AI generates the visual layout, export as HTML and CSS or paste directly into Figma, 2 to 3 minutes per screen. Stitch has two modes. Standard mode is super fast with 350 free generations per month. Experimental mode handles complex designs with 50 generations per month. The December update added prototypes so you can link screens together and create interactive user flows, test navigation before writing any backend code. Now, Claude Opus 4.6, this thing is a beast. 1 million token context window, handles massive code bases without losing track, scored 65.4% on Terminal Bench 2.0 for agentic coding, highest score any model has achieved, got 72.7% on OS World for computer use tasks.
The key feature is adaptive thinking. It automatically decides how much to think based on complexity. Simple tasks get done fast, complex problems get deep reasoning, and agent teams in Claude Code let multiple AI agents work in parallel. One handles front end, another does back end, a third manages tests. Perfect for larger applications. Now here's the workflow that changes everything. Step one, design your UI in Google Stitch. You start by describing your app in natural language. Let's say you want to build a budget tracking app. You tell Stitch something like this: create a mobile dashboard for personal budget tracking. Dark theme. Show today's total spending at the top, category cards for food, transport, shopping, recent transactions list at the bottom, clean and minimal design. Stitch processes that and generates your UI in about 2 minutes. You get a professional looking interface with proper spacing, good typography, logical layout. If something's not quite right, you refine it with follow-up prompts. Make the spending number larger, change the background to dark gray, add icons to the category cards. Each iteration takes another minute or two. When I first started using Stitch, I was overwhelmed by all the options and settings. That's when I found this community called AI Profit Boardroom, with over 2,000 members all focused on learning AI together and sharing what actually works. It taught me which workflows save time versus which ones waste it. The community shares real use cases and practical implementations. If you're serious about using AI to improve your work and skills, check it out. Link in description. Once your design looks good, you move to step two, export the code. Stitch gives you clean HTML and Tailwind CSS. It's not just placeholder code, it's actual functional front-end code you can use. You download the files or copy the code directly. And here's a pro tip. Use the prototypes feature to design your full user flow first. Create the login screen, the dashboard, the add transaction screen, the settings page, link them all together, test the flow. Make sure the navigation makes sense, then export everything at once. Step three, this is where Claude Opus 4.6 comes in. You take that front-end code from Stitch and you hand it over to Claude. Now you can use Claude through the web interface at claude.ai, or you can use Claude Code, which is their command line tool. I prefer Claude Code for bigger projects because it integrates directly with your development environment. You give Claude your Stitch code and you tell it what you need for the backend. For our budget app example, you might say something like this: I have this front-end code from Google Stitch for a budget tracking app. I need you to build the backend. Use Node.js and Express. Set up a database with PostgreSQL, create API endpoints for adding transactions, getting category totals, and fetching recent transactions. Add user authentication, make sure everything connects properly to the front end. And here's where Opus 4.6 really shines. It doesn't just write random code and hope it works. It understands your full project structure. It sees how the front end is built. It creates backend code that actually integrates cleanly. It handles things like data validation, error handling, security best practices, all the stuff you'd normally have to think through yourself. With the agent teams feature, you can even have multiple aspects of your backend built simultaneously. One agent sets up your database schema, another builds your API routes, another handles authentication. They work in parallel and coordinate with each other. What used to take you a full day of coding now happens in maybe 30 minutes. Step 4, testing and iteration. This is critical, and it's where a lot of people mess up with AI tools. You don't just generate code and ship it, you test everything. Claude Code has built in tools for running tests. You can ask it to write unit tests for your API endpoints. You can have it simulate user flows and check for edge cases. You can even have it review its own code for potential bugs or security issues. When you find a bug or want to add a feature, just tell Claude about it. It remembers your full code base and requirements. It makes the changes without breaking other parts of your app.
Let me give you a real example of how fast this workflow actually is. I built a complete expense tracking app using this exact process. Design in Stitch took about 20 minutes for 5 screens. Export and setup took 5 minutes. Building the entire backend with Claude took 45 minutes. That includes database setup, API endpoints, authentication, and connecting everything to the front end. Testing and fixing small issues took another 30 minutes. Total time from zero to working app was less than 2 hours. Compare that to the traditional way. Designing in Figma would take at least 2 hours just to get the mockups right. Then you're looking at a full day to code the front end. Maybe 2 days to build a solid backend with proper architecture, another day for testing and bug fixes. You're easily looking at 4 to 5 days of work. This workflow cut it down to 2 hours.
Quick advanced tips. Stitch added MCP support so Claude Code can directly access your Stitch projects through an API. Community tools like Stitch MCP Auto set this up. And use Stitch's design DNA feature. Create one perfect screen, extract the design tokens, use that for all other screens. Perfect consistency, common questions. Does this work for production apps, for MVPs, internal tools, and small business apps? Absolutely. For massive enterprise applications, you'll still need experienced developers for architecture. But this workflow speeds up development dramatically. How much does it cost? Google Stitch is completely free. Claude Opus 4.6 through the API is $5 per million input tokens and $25 per million output tokens. If you're looking to dive deeper into AI tools and actually implement them in your work, I recommend AI Profit Boardroom. Building software is more accessible than ever. You don't need a computer science degree. You need to understand the problem you're solving, learn how to use these AI tools effectively, and put in the work to build and test your ideas. Google Stitch handles your design. Claude Opus 4.6 handles your code. You handle the vision and validation. Go build something.